AFP says it is verifying if among the bodies of the terrorists recovered were those of Omar Maute, one of the leaders of the Marawi city siege. Malacanang stresses the need for Filipinos to unite in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. The AFP says martial law has been a big help in preventing a spillover of the Marawi city terrorist siege to other areas. The PNP reassures that there is no terrorist threat in Metro Manila.
This is PTV News. Good evening. I'm Catherine Vital with Richmond Cruz and Sharms Espina. In the news tonight, house-to-house clearing operations continue to be undertaken by government forces in the war-torn city of Marawi. This has resulted in the seizure of 10 million pesos worth of shabu from a house owned by former Marawi Mayor Omar Solitario Ali, allegedly a financier of the Maute terrorists. Clashes also continue between government forces and the terrorists still hold up in parts of the city. And authorities are verifying if among the bodies of the dead terrorists recovered were those of Omar Maute. Julius Isamburon reports.
A month after the siege started in Marawi City, firefights between the government forces and the Mautes have not ceased in the ground zero. Today, at any given time, the war zone was mostly covered with black and white smoke from the surgical airstrikes. Joint Task Force Marawi emphasized that this action has caused the weakening of terrorist stronghold and dwindling of their numbers. The blocking forces of the government are also closely monitoring the possible directions of escape and entry of enemy reinforcements. Earlier, it has been reported that the Maute brothers and Abu Sayyaf leader Isnilon Hapilon were in Marawi City. There is also the strong possibility of the ISIS-inspired terrorist leader Omar Maute being killed during the clash 2 weeks ago. The military assured that the official statements are first verified by the troops in the front line before they are released. As of the latest count, an estimated 100 Maute fighters are left holding out in the city.
Yung battlefield natin ngayon ay napaka-fluid, very dynamic. Every day nagbabago po yung locations ng kalaban, yung movement. Okay. So yun po ang ating ina-address. Ang pinaka-primordial concern pa rin natin dito yung kaligtasan ng more or less 300 trapped civilians. This include yung mga hostages. Okay? Ang isa pang nagpapabagal po sa ating operasyon ay dahil sa paggamit talaga ng mga iba't ibang bomba na nilalagay bawat buildings, houses. So ito ay isang taktika, no, para bumagal po yung offensive operations natin. Pero ito ay isang critical din dahil ating tinitignan yung kaligtasan ng ating mga sundalo.
Government troops will continue their operations until the end of Ramadan. The armed forces have vowed to protect the country's territory against enemies of the state. However, they appeal for the cooperation of all sectors and the public in the fight against terrorism and extremism.
Ang terrorism kasi hindi lang problema dito sa Marawi City or sa bansa natin. It's also a problem worldwide. Kaya dapat ang mindset natin is kailangan din natin ng strong linkages with other nations. Ito po yung ginagawa natin. Kaya meron tayong kinakandak na mga training, intelligence sharing, joint patrols, joint exercises, and these are all part of deterring and preparing our troops for a future eventualities.
Earlier, there were 2 reported cases of stray bullets, one hitting a civilian and the other tearing through a van rented by a media entity that was parked within the premises of the Lanao del Sur capital. Despite these incidents, the Crisis Management Committee still declared the capital as a safe zone but cautioned people doing transactions in the building to be extra careful, alert and vigilant since stray bullets are not only confined within the war zone.
Dahil close encounter na sila, ibig sabihin, we will expect na heavy firefight na, no? Itong Kapitolyo kasi ay according to our security updates na tatanggap natin is nasa line of fire pa yan. So parang from where our government troops are engaging this local militant group facing western, yung facing to the west ang ating military, and sa kanila facing the east. So pag nag-exchange of firefight yan, accordingly, may mga lumulusot na dito bumabagsak sa Kapitolyo, sa compound.
Meanwhile, in the course of continuous clearing operations, authorities seized at least 2 kilograms of shabu inside the residence of former Marawi City Mayor Omar Ali, who is a suspected financier of the Maute Group. JTF Marawi also announced that the Mautes have been using hostages as human shields. This report has led to a more tightened screening procedure for civilian evacuees to assure that no Maute member of supporter will be able to blend in the crowd. For the Nation, Julius Desamboron, Marawi City.
Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella expressed gratitude for the offer of assistance from foreign countries in the fight against the Maute terrorists. Abella stressed that the government would gladly welcome any form of foreign assistance allowed under our constitution to help suppress the rebellion in Marawi. But he added that Filipino troops will continue leading the operations against the Maute group. In today's Mindanao Hour, Yusek Abella also stressed the need for Filipinos to unite in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. This report.
This is the right time for the Filipino people to come together to fight terrorism and defend our culture. Presidential spokesperson made this appeal during the Mindanao Hour held this morning in Davao City.
One of the lessons we can take away from this situation in Mindanao is that we have people coming from the outside because they believe in a strong narrative. They have a very strong story that they want to establish a province in Southeast Asia and specifically in the Philippines. I believe this is also, in a sense, a wake-up call for Filipinos to be able to come together and begin to believe that we have a higher narrative aside from our local, regional, personal interests. I think it's high time that we continue to build up on our values, family values, and also higher values, and also go back to the fact that what we are really, like the good secretary said earlier, we are actually defending. And what are we defending? We're really defending the Filipino way of life.
During the conference, a spokesperson Ernesto Abella reported that the military continues with its clearing operations, including the rescuing of trapped civilians. As per the AFP data, 26 civilians have been killed while more than 1,600 civilians were rescued. 280 rebels were killed. Recovered firearms are at 298. So far, 69 soldiers were killed in action and 85 buildings have been cleared. Families affected are now at more than 71,000. Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or the DSWD, have already given 105 billion pesos as augmentation fund for its field offices in regions 7, 10, 12, and the Caraga. This is aside from the more than 89 billion worth of food and non-food items distributed by the DSWD. Authorities are now conducting tighter securities in all the seaports, which may be used as entry and exit points of foreign terrorists. More marine patrols will also be deployed, as well as immigration officers will be placed in all the islands to check for the proper documentations. 8 foreign terrorists have been killed by the military in Marawi. The government is open to foreign assistance to help fight terrorism as long as it is in line with our country's independent foreign policy. Reporting from Davao City, for the Nation, Marita Muaje.
Meanwhile, East Mindanao Command Deputy Commander Brigadier General Gilbert Gapay said they see a tactical alliance between the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters and the Maute Group. But he stressed that the BIFF attack on Pigcawayan, Cotabato last Wednesday was not connected with the conflict in Marawi City. Again, here's Marita Muaje.
The Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighter, or BIFF's recent attack in Barangay Malagakit, Pigcawayan, North Cotabato has no connection to the ongoing Marawi rebellion staged by the Maute Group. This is a clarification made by Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella at the Mindanao Hour in Davao City. Following the incident, Abella says that 31 hostages were rescued by the joint AFP-PNP teams who responded to the attack. 73 trapped civilians were also rescued. On the government side, 2 members of the Citizens Army Auxiliary, or CAA, were wounded, while 1 was killed in front of his wife and 3 minor children. He was identified as Abraham Kutay. On the BIFF side, 6 of its members were killed, while 8 were wounded. 1 civilian was killed and 1 was wounded. Meanwhile, Brigadier General Gilbert Gapay, martial law spokesperson and deputy commander of the Eastern Mindanao Command, admitted that both the BIFF and the Maute rebel group has taken allegiance to the ISIS.
These are desperate moves and actions by the BAFF. Dahil they were expecting a big result out of that attack because almost 100 of them attacked 2 barangays in Pigcawayan. It was a significant number, and they were expecting a result in the furtherance of their with what they want to achieve. That papapansin ba na we're still here, we're still a force to reckon with, but it turned out to be otherwise. That's why nung napahiya na sila, so before they fled, ayun na, they destroyed some the schools there, classrooms.
Reporting from Davao City, for The Nation, Marita Muaje.
A general in the Philippine Army expressed satisfaction over the successful result in the status quo born of a month-long reign of military rule in Mindanao. The success cannot be merely measured in the body count of figures of the enemy, nor the recovered high-powered weapons of war, but in keeping peace, law and order tightly intact, and keeping the agents of terror and mayhem at bay for more than a month. And this report from Eunice Samonte.
1 month after President Rodrigo Duterte's declaration of martial law in Mindanao, the Armed Forces of the Philippines is confident that its implementation is of great help in their operations to seize the terrorist group in Mindanao. During the Mindanao Hour earlier, Eastern Mindanao Deputy Commander General Gilbert Gapay mentioned that this declaration prevented a spillover of terrorism brought about by the Maute members headed by Abu Sayyaf leader and ICC Mir in the Philippines Estilon Hapilon. These, according to the military, are the results of more intensive security operations in urban areas and the active cooperation of the law enforcement agencies, local government units, and the public. The Philippine National Police also expressed their support to the martial law declaration, as this, according to the Chief PNP, paved the way for the fast-tracking of cases filed and arrest of the lawless armed elements.
Ngayon, napakadali mag-issue ng arrest warrant against doon sa mga alam natin ng mga membro ng Maute. So yan, may basis tayo under martial law na pwede natin silang hulihin. So yun, napakadali pong gawin natin yan.
And for the PNP Chief Police Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa, martial law is also the key for the arrest of Maute family members. It can be recalled that the mother of Maute brothers, known as Farhana, the financier of the terrorist group, and Kayamora, the father, were now in the custody of Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, or BJMP, since their arrest starting on June 6. And just last week, the sister of Abdullah and Omar Maute, together with 2 other suspected Maute members, were also arrested in Iloilo, where they planned to escape. Just before that, Muhammad Maute, or the bomb expert of the group, was also arrested on a separate checkpoint in Cagayan de Oro. Proof that martial law implementation has been effective in arresting criminals.
Kung walang martial law, walang arrest order against sa kanila, hindi natin basta-basta mahuli, lalo na wounded, di ba? Kahit na alam natin na wounded sila doon sa gira. We are empowered and we are more motivated to go after them.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines also further explained why the President was right in declaring martial law in Mindanao.
Ang tanong kasi, bakit sa buong Mindanao yung bakit hindi Marawi lang? So ito yung pagpapatunay na ang ating martial law implementation hindi pwedeng nakafocus lang sa Marawi, but also in other parts of Mindanao.
Article 7, Section 18 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution states that as Commander-in-Chief of the AFP, the President has the right to declare martial law effective in the maximum of 60 days. And with the help and the open-mindedness of the citizens, peace is no longer far behind. For The Nation, Eunice Samonte.
Relatives of soldiers and policemen killed or wounded in action against Maute terrorists in Marawi City are assured of government assistance. DILG Undersecretary Catalino Cuy said the comprehensive social benefit program is in addition to the usual benefits given by the AFP and the PNP. More details from Kenneth Pasyente.
Relatives of soldiers and policemen killed or wounded in action in the Marawi siege are assured of government assistance. This is in line with President Rodrigo Duterte's comprehensive social benefit program. Dependents of the killed and injured policemen and soldiers will receive help from the Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG.
Gusto rin natin mabigyan ng livelihood and assistance yung mga relatives like employment, educational assistance, housing,
Cuy also added that the assistance they will be giving is just an additional to the common help that is given by the Philippine National Police and Armed Forces of the Philippines to its casualty members. As of now, there are relatives who are already employed in different branches of the government. Meanwhile, the official asserted that dependents are not only can be hired in branches of the ILG, it depends on their qualifications.
This is not limited to the ILG only. We have, lalo na yung mga member agency doon sa ano na to, sa grupo na to, nag-hire din sila sa DPWH. Yung DTI was very active din dito. Nag-offer sila ng assistance.
For the Nation, Kenneth Pasyente.
Residents of the megacity, chill and calm down. There is no clear and present danger of impending acts of terrorism to be launched simultaneously in the megacity between today and the end of the month, based on results of hard-nosed intelligence work. PTV's Denise Monte reports on the high state of readiness the police force and military are in to immediately respond to any contingency and urgency anytime and anywhere in the national capital region.
As the action in Marawi continues on its first month today, news on social media also remains in action as the alleged attacks of terrorist members in Manila started spreading. That's why earlier the Philippine National Police assured the public that there is nothing to worry about, as they have already been preparing forces in the upcoming Eid al-Fitr or the end of Ramadan. Starting this weekend, non-uniformed personnel will be deployed to public places of the metro to ensure safe and meaningful celebration of Eid al-Fitr.
Siyempre, expect po natin na magkakaroon po tayo ng checkpoints. Yung checkpoints naman po sa Manila Police District, regular po yan ginagawa. Ipapanel po yan ng ating K9 unit, of course, siyempre. Tapos magde-deploy po tayo dyan ng covert security or yung plainclothes police officers.
The primary places in focus include Quirino Grandstand and Golden Mosque in Quiapo, where most of the Muslim Brothers will conduct programs and religious activities. Contrary to the news circulating online, the PNP clarified that there are no threats monitored on June 30 during the first year in service of the President.
Yung mga threats po na yan po ay magsisilbing hamon sa Manila Police District, para mas lalo naming paigtingin yung aming police visibility, yung aming intelligence gathering.
Margarejo also denied the allegations that Maute members are already here in Metro Manila looking for a chance to spread terrorism. The PNP is also expecting the same number of attendees from last year, with more or less 2,000 Muslim Brothers joining the activities in the said places. Meanwhile, the PNP also reminded the public to report the suspicious individuals to the authorities to avoid acts of terrorism. For the Nation, Denise Monte.
4 people, including 3 NPA rebels, were killed in 2 separate incidents in Panabo City and Carmen in Davao del Norte. The incident was in Panabo City, where communist rebels raided a police detachment, killing SBO1 Nino Moreno. The firefight between the rebels and some 20 policemen lasted for about 15 minutes. Hot pursuit operations have been launched. In Carmen, 3 NPA rebels were killed at a police checkpoint in Barangay Tubod. The rebels were on board a motorcycle which was flagged down by the authorities. Instead of stopping, the rebels reportedly decided to shoot it out with the policemen, resulting in their deaths. Malacanang has declared tomorrow, June 24, as a special non-working day in the city of Manila. This is provided for in Proclamation Number 208, signed for the President by Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea. The proclamation was issued to give Manila residents the full opportunity to celebrate the city's 446th Foundation Day.
The National Food Authority dismisses reports that fake rice is sold in the country. NFA Administration Jason Aquino told newsmen that rice samples analyzed in their laboratory show there is no fake rice in the Philippines. As a precaution against the possible entry and sale of unusual rice stocks, Aquino said he has ordered NFA's field offices to intensify their market surveillance activities. NFA's Food Development Center reported analyzing 6 uncooked and 2 cooked samples of commercial rice that NFA gathered and submitted to the agency amid fears about fake rice in local markets. FDC Director Jocelyn Sales said they subjected the samples to microscopic and starch analysis as well as a sensory evaluation to check if these are indeed fake rice. She added that they found the samples to be real rice. Share prices again slipped today for the fourth straight trading day due to profit taking. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index lost 44.17 points or 0.56% to 7,814.17 at the closing bell. The broader all shares declined by 20.23 points or 0.43% to 4,679.29. More than 1.174 billion shares valued at 6,681 billion pesos changed hands. Winners led losers 100 to 98, and 48 issues were unchanged.
Let's head on now to our weather update from PTV Info Weather. The southwest monsoon, locally called Habagat, will affect the western section of southern Luzon all throughout the long weekend. Isolated thunderstorms for the rest of the country is expected. Now, based on the latest COM rain intensity satellite, thunderstorms are expected over central Luzon, including sections of Metro Manila, as well as Ilocos region, Cordillera provinces, and Palawan. As for our forecast map tomorrow, cloudy skies with light to moderate rains and isolated thunderstorms will be experienced over Palawan and Mindoro provinces. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms will be prevailing over Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon. Visayas, meanwhile, shall expect better weather. As for Mindanao, we're looking at cloudy to rainy weather over Zamboanga, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi, ARMM, Soxargen, as well as the Davao region. And as for our metro cities outlook, higher chances of isolated showers or thunderstorms are more likely in the afternoon or evening. Residents in low-lying areas and nearby waterways and river channels are alerted against possible flooding. Meanwhile, for those of you heading outdoors for the weekend and for our Muslim brothers at Eid al-Fitr, let's take a quick look at our forecast for the weekend.
PTV News will pause for some important messages. We'll be right back.
The fish are eating. So should you, anak.
Thank you.
You're welcome, anak.
What does anak mean?
It means my child.
Program of the Duterte administration to grow the economy, reduce poverty, and solve congestion in Metro Manila is to build, build, build. We will embark on the most ambitious infrastructure program in history, which will usher in a golden age of infrastructure.
Sa pag-asenso, dapat magnegosyo.
Kung papaano ihahatid namin sa inyo sa loob ng 30 minuto.
Sa pinakabagong business show on Philippine Television, ang Nego Show.
Basta na lang umalis. Sana ako kukuha ng pampaayos ito para mapapaan natin ulit.
Hindi naman namin ni Dad. Yung nakakainis lang kasi,
Maalis nang walang paalam.
Parang tanga naman. Lumipat lang sa kabila ng highway para namang hindi natin siya mahanap.
Di ba?
Oh my God.
Bakit?
Tingnan mo sa FB, nag-post pa na may bagong bida siyang PlayStation. Tingnan mo.
Alam mo gagawa ko dyan. Parang mas mahal pa yata ang magagastos namin kung demanda pa yan.
Alam mo, actually hindi.
Mr. Michael Cruz?
Oo, ano yun?
Bawat bayan ay may small claims court. Walang maliit na atraso para sa hustisya. Walang hassle, walang abogado, at aksyon agad. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, pumunta lang sa aming website.
Do not be fooled by fake numbers. Know the real numbers. From July 1, 2016 to June 13, 2017, the government seized a total of 2,429.09 kilos of methamphetamine or shabu with a street value of 12,000,049 billion pesos. This translates to an increase of 3.22 billion pesos in street value compared to the previous week.
The government will make sure that high-rise buildings in the country strictly follow the fire code. This is to prevent a towering inferno similar to the London incident that snuffed out scores of lives. The full story from Kenneth Paciente.
The Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, ordered the Bureau of Fire Protection to inspect high-rise private and public buildings and establishments in Metro Manila. Philippine Economic Zone Authority, or PEZ establishments are also subject for inspection. This is a step of DILG and BFP to prevent incidents like what happened in Grenfell Tower in London and in Resorts World Manila recently.
Sinama na natin ngayon yung reminder sa Bureau of Fire Protection, which is one of the agencies under DILG, to be strict doon sa kanilang fire safety inspections, kasi sila yung nagbibigay ng mga clearances sa mga new buildings at the same time yung renewal.
According to Senior Superintendent Rico Quanchu, Regional Director of BFP NCR, fire marshals will check if these high-rise buildings and establishments are complying with the fire code of the Philippines.
Kailangan natin tingnan maigi para yung safety features na nandun sa building, especially yung mga automatic fire suppression system natin, ay dapat talagang gumagana. Kasi ito yung first line of defense ng bawat building, na pag ito ay gumana, hindi kagad kakalat yung apoy.
The Bureau will also check if fire suppression systems like fire alarm, fire detectors, fire extinguishers, and automatic fire sprinkler system, or AFSS, are present inside the establishments. Aside from this, high-rise buildings must have their own team's employees or fire brigade to be trained by the BFP. Meanwhile, BFP gave its marshals 45 days to finish inspections of almost 1,700 high-rise buildings, mostly located in the cities of Makati, Manila, Quezon, Pasig, Pasay, Muntinlupa, and Taguig. For The Nation, Kenneth Paciente.
A new set of guidelines or protocols is up for all towing companies whose quality of service in general has been unsavory or leaves too much to be desired. PTV's Ria Fernandez reports that the new sheriff in town is cracking the whip on the players of the trade for improved and much better service to those stranded out on the streets.
MMDA Chairman Danilo Lim met today the owners of accredited towing companies in Metro Manila. This concerns complaints Lim is receiving every day about the service of some towing companies.
Sa totoo lang, halos araw-araw, several times a day, nakakatanggap kami ng mga reklamo tungkol sa mga towing companies na accredited ng MMDA. Kahit aandar pa naman yung sasakyan, pilit na inaagaw para mato. Inaagaw yung manibela. Mga towing units na nagtoto, tali ang gamit. Or towing unit na walang plaka. Things like this, ang dami, araw-araw.
MMDA will issue a new implementing rules and regulations in July to address the problem. Towing companies are expected to follow the guidelines to ensure professionalism and standardized service. Lim said he will also implement his one-strike policy against airing companies.
Ang hingi ko lang sa lahat ay makipagtulungan kayo. Alam ko na negosyo kayo, nasa negosyo kayo. Pero bukod sa kita, bukod sa negosyo, bukod sa pera, serbisyo tayo dito sa MMDA.
Number 1, yung connivance sa enforcer, huwag nyo na bigyan. Dahil pag binigyan nyo yan, nahuli namin, damay kayo. Number 2, kung may driver na para tanggalin ang obstruction, huwag nyong ito. Yung enforcer namin ang magtitiket doon. Kung may nasiraan, bigyan nyo ng konting pagkakataon para umistart. Huwag nyo agawin ng manobela. Bayaan nyo silang magkusa na umalis. Yung uniforme, no? Yung mga empleyado nyo, gawin yung disente. Mukhang mabango. T-shirt lang na may collar, lagyan ng pangalan ng tow truck. Walang walang logo ng MMDA.
Lito Kalunsag, operator of a towing company, admitted the presence of anomalies in their wing. That's why for him, coming out with a new IRR is okay to solve the problem.
Kami susunod kami para kagaganda naman ng aming anay.
Only 10 of 33 invited towing company owner-operators attended the meeting. The rest sent their representatives. For The Nation, Ria Fernandez.
A homegrown hoodie from Marawi is a shining star in the most dreaded domain of the southern frontier that spells death, destruction, drugs, and despair. Part Persian and from the biggest Muslim tribe in Mindanao, the future microbiologist has a merciful and patriotic heart and has high hopes for the conflict-ravaged capital, which he sees will soon rise from the ashes. PTV's Jervis Manan has more on this heck of a hack, whose educational exploits at the nation's premier state university has culminated in these 3 words, with highest honors.
It has been a month since the siege in Marawi started. But despite the seemingly unending exchange of bullets, a man hailing from Marawi City is now giving them hope. His name is Arman Ali Godsinya, a half Maranao whose mother hails from Marawi City. He is graduating with a degree of BS Molecular Biology and Biotechnology in UP Diliman, summa cum laude, the highest honors a graduating student can get. Arman was also selected to deliver the speech at the university graduation this coming Sunday.
It's really saddening, and I really wish that I could do more what's going on. And I empathize with them, and I'm hoping that this crisis would end as soon as possible.
Despite the ongoing firefight, Arman still has high hopes for Mindanao.
I don't see myself working abroad. I see myself coming back here. And given that the Philippines is lagging in science, especially in molecular biology, ang dream ko po ay ang Philippines, especially gusto po ang Mindanao, hometown ay maging sikat sa field ng science. Gusto ko imbes na tayo ang pumupunta doon, tayo ang dudumugin ng mga foreigners.
He says he's lucky to have a family who supported him unrelentingly until he reached this victory. But he clarified that it was his sister Farah who motivated him the most. The two are not just excelling in their studies, but they are also active in advocacies for development of Mindanao.
When we talk about development of Mindanao, hindi lang po siya dapat peace, attaining a peaceful environment, pero kailangan kaakibat po nito yung economic development din po. Na kung titingnan niyo po, ilan po sa pinakamahirap na probinsya sa Pilipinas ay natatagpuan sa ARMM.
In fact, they have raised funds to distribute school supplies to children in Lanao. But they say they have to go beyond it because bigger structural changes are needed to attain sustainable peace and development.
Kami po ng kapatid ko, we're planning to create storybooks and other books that generally raise awareness about interfaith understanding. So pagkakaunawa po sa iba't ibang relihiyon na meron, Kristiyano man o Muslim, iisa po tayo bilang mga Pilipino.
Arman and Farah are half Iranians and they have been to Iran to further understand their roots. Now they are longing to go back to Marawi City once the area is cleared. Arman also has a message to fellow graduates and Mindanaoans.
Sana ay gamitin natin para sa ikabubuti. Huwag sana natin kalimutan magmalasakit sa mga Pilipinong nagpaaral sa atin. At gamitin natin ang edukasyon natin para tulungan ng mga naghihirap. Sa aking mga fellow Mindanaoans, kumapit lang po tayo. Araw-araw ay nasa dasal namin kayo ngayong Holy Month of Ramadan Hindi namin ko kayo nakalimutan. Panalangin ko na matapos na ang gulo na to.
For The Nation, Jervis Manahan.
Finally, after a long and extended wait, the guardian and watchdog of professional certification of the country's workers are having their records and archives set into zeros and ones to keep abreast with the digital tools. PTV's Dayan Kira reports on how the PRC is redefining itself as a professional service by streamlining its file system and doing away with so much clutter and baggage created by boxes and boxes of paper that waste space.
A memorandum of agreement was signed between the Professional Regulation Commission or PRC and the Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT. The partnership of the two agencies aimed to digitize data in the PRC.
Yung i-digitize natin ang mga listahan nila ng professionals and other documents inside, we can easily respond to the public's need for documents from their office, from our offices.
It would be a way to clean our database, to remove the duplication of, say, names or statistics. And that would ensure the reliability of our database.
Moreover, the ICT launched the National Broadband Plan, which aims to speed up internet in the country. Indicated in the blueprint is to encourage investors to invest in broadband infrastructures and to add more cell towers.
Putting in standard frameworks para magamit nila yung mga existing land or building na pagmamayari ng gobyerno para doon mailagay yung mga cell towers na ito or kung paano mapapabilis yung pag-roll out ng fiber sa kanayunan.
Meanwhile, the agency invites the public to use the National Government Portal. It is a website that can be accessed through www.gov.ph. The portal aims to consolidate in one site the online access to the different services of the government agencies.
Pag pumunta ka dun sa GovPH, okay, you will see there services grouped according to specific clusters.
Meanwhile, the ICT asked the support of the public for the online voting in the Smart City Asia Pacific Awards, wherein the ICT program called Tech for Ed is nominated under the Economic Development category. One may vote through this site. For The Nation, Dayan Querer.
In news overseas, a new exhibit in New York City enables visitors to experience Michelangelo's masterpieces from as close as the Florentine master was when working on them in the early 16th century. Nearly 34 reproductions of his best pieces from the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican are at the Oculus Arts Center and Transit Hub at the Westfield World Trade Center. VOA's Latika Hope reports the exhibit will move from New York to other U.S. cities.
The Last Judgment is one of the best-known frescoes at the Vatican. It covers the entire altar of the Sistine Chapel, and it took 4 years to complete. The original is impressive, but a visitor rarely has time to admire every one of some 300 figures in it. The exhibit at New York's Oculus Art and Transit Center allows that and much more.
It's not crowded. The security guards aren't yelling at you. And you can actually take the time, instead of trying to comprehend the whole ceiling as a very complex program, you could focus leisurely on motifs, different parts of it.
The reproductions are based on the Sistine Chapel photographs by Austrian photographer Erich Lessing. They were transferred to cloth in Germany, and the Brooklyn-based design company staged the exhibition. TV and film producer Scott Sanders heads the entertainment team of the Westfield company that manages the Oculus.
This is a really unique exhibit because we're giving people the opportunity to see Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel up close. When you go to the Vatican, when you go to the Sistine Chapel in Rome, the art is on the ceiling. You sort of move through it rather quickly. You're not allowed to take pictures.
Other famous frescoes at the exhibit, titled Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel Up Close, include the creation of Adam, the expulsion from the Garden of Eden, and depictions of various prophets. Visitors can come as close to them as the artist did to the Sistine Chapel frescoes when he worked on the ceiling.
I think one of the things to take away is people can really appreciate how monumental the style of Michelangelo is. I mean, he is empowering these figures to be heroic, including the women. And I think that that's something we don't see so well from the ground. in the Sistine Chapel. And here we see powerful men and powerful women who are engaged in heroic acts.
The exhibit opened Friday and will run for a month at the Oculus and then travels to other U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, Sacramento, Seattle, Chicago, Annapolis, and San Diego.
Over the last year, all races and ethnic groups grew in the United States. That's according to an annual count released by the U.S. Census Bureau. But Asian and Hispanic populations continued to be the fastest growing. VOA's Aline Barros has more.
America's diversity remains on the rise, according to the latest annual study by the U.S. Census Bureau, which offers a snapshot of today's population. One of the driving forces behind this growth is higher birth rates among Hispanics and Asians. The report shows the Hispanic population is at 57.5 million, an increase of 2% since 2015. Meanwhile, the Asian population grew to 21.4 million, with the fastest growth rate of all ethnic groups at 3%.
Okay, well, what you find in this latest report from the Census Bureau is that actually the Asian, percentage-wise, the Asian population grew slightly faster than the Hispanic population. But then in terms of numbers, the Hispanic population was larger. So in absolute numbers, you have more Hispanics.
The study estimates that all groups had more births than deaths in the last year, except non-Hispanic white people, who have experienced a decrease in births by 163,300 nationally. Geographically, the new data shows the majority of Asians and Hispanics reside in the west of the U.S.
You see a large Hispanic population in California, in Texas. Those are traditional Hispanic communities, where there are economies that are well adjusted to it and cultural resources where people feel comfortable.
The Census Bureau makes a complete count of everybody living in the U.S. and its territories every 10 years. The count is mandated by the Constitution, and it will next take place in 2020.
For our sports tonight, the FC Meralco Manila Sparks and Stallion Laguna FC are bound for a face-off tomorrow as the Philippine Football League continues. But the Manila team has one problem to take on and solve. Angel Atienza tells us more.
Fresh from a game opposite Davao Aguilas FC, FC Meralco Manila Sparks is about to hit the field again to collide with Stallion Laguna FC. Despite maintaining its top standing, the Manila team got limited to just 2 goals, resulting to a draw with Davao. Head coach Aris Caslib revealed that the said game is a big help in the squad's mindset.
It's a wake-up call for us, actually, that we have to take all matches, get the 3 points, and hopefully out of that experience in Tagum, we get better as a club.
The Sparks intend to stay in the standings above the rest with their 16 goals made. But the upcoming game will prove to be a challenge as their midfielder Simon Greatwich got slapped with a suspension due to his accumulated yellow cards from the past games.
Definitely, it does affect us because he's one of the senior players in the midfield. But Daniel Gadya can step on. Then we have TJ here, who has been playing in the middle for a couple of matches already, and he has done a lot.
The Manila and Laguna squads first ran into each other on May 6, where the Sparks got the upper hand at 5-1. The Manila team hopes to score a blowout win tomorrow.
We certainly hope so. We're going into the game definitely working towards that goal. We definitely want to win by as much as we can. I think that's always the goal. So it depends how the match plays out. I mean, like we said, we were missing Connor and Simon in the middle. Those are good players that we've lost. But yeah, we're still confident going into the game and hopefully.
The match between Manila and Laguna will be held tomorrow at the Rizal Memorial Stadium in time for the celebration of the city's 446th Foundation Day. For The Nation, Angel Atienza.
It was December 2009 when the Eskrima or Kali, better known as Arnis, was declared as the national martial art. The primary weapon used in this particular sport are wooden rods made of rattan, used in either single or double stick techniques. In relation to this, Arnis is also the very first competition being played at the Palarong Pambansa. In the early times, Arnis served as an art and a form of defense of Filipinos in times of war. Initially, the national game of the Philippines was Sipa or Sepak Takraw before it was replaced by Arnis. In the headlines, the AFP says it is verifying if among the bodies of the terrorists recovered were those of Omar Maute, one of the leaders of the Marawi city siege. Malacanang stresses the need for Filipinos to unite in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism. The AFP says martial law has been a big help in preventing a spillover of the Marawi city terrorist siege to other areas. The PNP reassures that there is no terrorist threat in Metro Manila.
And those were today's headline stories on PTV News. I'm Catherine Vital with Richmond Cruz and Sharm Saspina. Thank you and have a happy weekend.